Why don't you just fucking come in here and fuck up my intro? You fucking jerk.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, for this particular episode of Contextually...
What are you doing?
Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. I'm working on the intro. What the fuck are you drinking?
Soda.
Fine. Anyway, on this particular episode of Contextually...
What are you gonna say in the
Jesus
intro?
fucking shit! God damn you, you fucking cock!
What are you gonna say in the intro?
I don't, you fucked up my concentration. You fucked it up.
Well, if you just tell me what you're gonna say, and then you pretty much already said it.
I'm trying to tell...
And then you won't have to do an intro.
I'm trying to tell these fuckers at home... I'm trying to tell these fuckers at home who have taken their blood, sweat, and fucking tears to download this stupid fucking podcast that this episode is probably a shit shake. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's possibly a shit shake.
It doesn't take that amount of... I don't think you're being authentic right now.
No, really, for this particular episode, what we did was we had our friends Christina, Rachel, and Jared over to the podcast house. And the goal for this cast was really just to kind of, shoot the shit about life.
No, it wasn't.
But no one was sober, and
no, it was to ask Christina about.
Oh yeah, the Jehovah's Witness thing. I totally forgot about that.
And for Rachel to interject with sex talk.
Right. I mean, I haven't actually listened to this podcast, so I really don't know what it's about.
None of that happened.
Anyway, take a listen, see what you think. You can like it, you can hate it. You might both. I don't know. Fucking jump on the internets and
good intro.
Why don't you tell us how much we fucking suck? Jump on. You can you can get a hold of us at Gmail at contextuallyyourspodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. So enjoy or don't.
Good intro.
Yeah. I'm done talking.
That was sarcasm.
Fuck this.
All right, we need a theme song.
We don't have a theme song.
Contextually yours.
So good. Wait, are we official? Wait, let's not start. I'm not ready yet. Okay. He's not ready yet.
Nobody's ever ready, baby.
You want it?
You don't want to do it?
Introductions?
Oh no, it's your show. It's your show, baby.
But I did it. I introduced everybody last time.
We didn't have anybody last time.
I know, but I introduced me and you.
Yeah, why are you getting all...
We had you. I introduced you. So now you introduce everybody else.
How comes you getting all gun shy now?
Talking to the microphone.
I'd like some variety.
Oh, okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Contextually Yours. This evening's episode is starring...
Happy Pie Day.
Yeah, hey, it's Pie Day, because, hey, what exactly, what is pie?
It's an irrational number.
It's an irrational number.
Wait. Is it the diameter of a circle?
That's a ratio?
No, it's the exact diameter of a circle. That's what it is, right? Am I wrong?
Huh.
Pretty.
I know where you're going. I can't think of.
It's been a
can't think of what it's
long
called
time since
So as always, I'm Griffin Mayer. We have Jeff Simmons over here in the corner. Tonight we are joined by Christina, and I forget your last name.
That's okay.
Because I'm a horrible host. Go.
Bastura.
It's Bastura.
There we go. Right there. Christina Bastura. We also have in the house this evening, we have Rachel and Jared Tucker.
Yeah. And they're over there
We don't have a live studio audience, so there's not,
We have the
applause.
dog.
We have a dog.
And Dublin's in the house. And Dono is playing video games like usual, so,
Yeah, you can hear him in the background yelling at people over where their pieces are placed on a board.
in the future, if you want to come down and play Final Fantasy with our roommate Dono, by all means, come over to the podcast house.
It's a one-player
And,
game.
we're okay. What we're going to do is actually watch Dono play Final Fantasy, but you'll get to sit
That's
next to him
true.
on the couch.
Yeah.
And he might even let you feed him Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, and
that could
he
be a thing.
loves hand jobs.
Yeah.
Just loves them. Goes nuts over.
They're like Skittles.
Yeah.
But they're
Like, of all the people
But
I
you-
know that like hand jobs, Donovan takes the cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, for just loving
But you
hand
guys
jobs.
only do it like every once in a while.
Well, you got to keep him happy.
You know,
Yeah, I
right?
mean,
just to keep
you
him
know.
cool.
Yeah.
You gotta have the tone of the house light and happy. So you gotta, every once in a while, you gotta give your bro a hand job.
Yeah. It's like when your bro stubs his toe, you got to give him anal. Like it just
Ow!
cures the stubbed. Oh, Jared, come on, man.
That was the weirdest thing when I saw that. It's hilarious.
That was fantastic.
So, Christina,
Yeah, what up?
you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness,
Yes, they did.
which is a cult,
Yes, it is.
according to a lot of smart people, including yourself.
It is.
So,
It's a cult. And it's not even really that great of one.
yeah,
I mean, they did me because
not
suicide.
as much Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but did you get cool clothes and like like bitching multi-husbands or something like that?
No, you got traumatized because as
Underwear.
a child, you're being asked to knock on the doors of strange houses and talk about a God that doesn't exist.
Yeah, you should be able to have the
And if-
choice to do
Yeah.
that.
You have to.
I mean-
you have to count.
I
at
do
the
that
end
all
of the
the time.
month, how many of those little pamphlets that
Yeah.
you give away,
Oh, so that you're like, it's like a stock thing, like.
and how much time you were in the field service.
So what happens
which
if
is
you-
actually what it's called when they go out.
What if you're missing pamphlets? Like, how does that work?
Oh, they'll come after you.
Like, I mean, what do they garnish your wages? Like, I mean, what happens here?
Right?
Basically, they just passive aggressively bother you until you just put something down on the thing and give it to them.
Isn't it kind of like a
You
book,
haven't turned in your time for this month. Didn't know if you could do that for us right now.
Like Office Space?
Yeah, well, they're like
Just
divided
Office
on this
Space?
thing.
Not yet. You're only
Yeah,
older and weirder.
We're gonna need you to knock on doors Saturday. and,
We're now using
no.
the blue cover
No.
for your TPS
Every
reports.
day. They would want you there every day
Wow.
to do it. Some people do.
so what,
There's levels based on how many hours
It's like a
you wanna
pyramid
dedicate.
scheme.
Oh, yeah, totally is. The guys in New York that run the whole organization, they're worth a shit ton of money.
yeah, well, they
Yes.
like
So-
sell books.
Well,
right?
I mean,
Like,
for
that's-
those of us out there who don't really know much about Jehovah's Witness, what's their faith base? Like, what are they into? What do they do?
I mean, it's pretty Christian. I mean, that's the best as far as like, they study the Bible and
Right. Well, like, what's their slant on it? What's their take? Like,
it's all about Jehovah.
it's all about the Jehovah.
I mean, Jesus gets some time in now and then, but it's about making sure that everybody knows that if they don't know, but
Jesus
they don't
didn't.
like the idea that when Armageddon comes and you are constantly told we are in the end of days, we're there anytime now, just anytime.
Yeah, Jesus
God's
didn't
gonna
get the
come in and
lead
just
role.
no Jesus and all his that magic number in Revelations, the 144,000 anointed ones will rule it in heaven with Jesus
So
for
how
a
does-
thousand years,
Yeah.
and everyone else
144,000.
will just be struck down.
So wait, if there's more than 144,000 Jehovah's Witnesses, then
No, you
is
got to
it
be a
just
special
like
one.
spillover? Like,
Well, I asked my mom that once. I'm like, Mom, how do they know? She's like, oh, it's like a direct communication. They just know. I'm like, Okay.
How do you become like one of those numbers? Like how do you get the lotto ticket?
You just, I don't have a clue.
So, I'm looking that shit up. So,
It's for real.
yeah, their translation, the New World Translation
The New
of
World
the Holy Scriptures.
It's the same, guys. It's the same.
And
We
it
just took
it
out the
quotes
Shakespearean
Bible
language.
verses. Quotes and cites other Bible translations, and they believe that the destruction of the present world system at Armageddon is imminent, and that the establishment of God's kingdom over the earth is the only solution for all problems faced by humanity.
It's kind of doomsday culty.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah.
That's how they keep you. Fear and guilt. That's their
Nice.
game.
Well, I mean, they definitely fucking took Catholics and one up them.
Just-
So, but don't they sell a bunch of books, right? Like
No,
that's kinda
well,
like-
no, they don't sell
make
them.
money. They make some
You
money.
give them on a voluntary donation basis. You just politely
yeah,
say
I
if you'd
mean,
like to donate.
Did you already answer that while I was looking at it?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just fucking terrible, especially when you're like 7.
So did they make you eat a certain food on a certain day, like Taco Tuesdays?
Yeah.
No,
no,
but-
Taco
That sounds
Tuesdays
great.
was Jim Jones. That was Jim Jones. That's where Taco Tuesdays started. A lot of people don't know that.
Jumping
I love
jungles.
Taco Tuesday. I just learned about it a few months ago
What?
from my friend. Yeah.
Ah. My mom's Italian, and we still had Taco Tuesday. Lots of tacos.
Yeah, but you're a
Couple.
freak. Italian tacos. So,
Oh, okay. So here's one of the misconceptions about them.
okay.
Just to kind of
The tacos?
give it a spin. No, about Jehovah's Witnesses.
Is that they can see through the walls in your house? Because I think they can. I'm trying hiding. It doesn't work. They stay at the door.
Okay, people ask a lot, why are there no windows on your church? And first of all, it's not a church. It's called the Kingdom Hall.
That sounds creepy.
Yeah. And they're like,
Well, I mean, what else has no
why
windows?
don't you?
Rape bans.
Why are there no windows?
No.
It's because they literally build it in 2 days. They call it a quick build. They just get a huge amount of people to come, and they just build it in like 2 days. So
That's efficient. at least.
windows take a lot of time, I guess. Cut.
So, is it like build up?
Kind of makes sense.
Is that like a build tear down thing or build and stay up? Like, cause is it like the
internally,
like the tent,
they're
there's like,
trying to take you down. Yeah.
But I mean, is there like the tent revival type thing? Is it like, or it's just up and then they just said fuck it, no windows?
It's like a manufactured steel building. 2 days to go up and
Right,
drop
right.
it down, move it to the next location.
Yeah,
Right, like-
it's just
It stays up, right? They leave it like just with no windows.
yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
The one that I went to most of my life.
Like.
The one I went to most of my life, actually, a church bought it, which I think is kind of funny.
So what?
It's kind of funny that a church bought the old Kingdom Hall that I went to when I was like growing up.
And
I just think that's
windows
funny.
in it? Were they like, oh, we need some stained glass in here, and they put windows in it, or
They definitely upgraded.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Put in a nice sound system. some-
They built a brand new one.
Put rims on it.
Down
Put rims on.
one of these crazy.
Got a stage in there now. Rocking for Jesus.
So I did. I've had 2 experiences. One when I lived in St. Louis, and we had Jehovah's Witnesses come by, and me and my roommate Sam were home at the time, and we literally hid from them because we thought they probably saw us in the house beforehand, and we just we were ducking down, and we're trying not to laugh because we're signaling each other with hand signals and shit, and that was a lot of fun. And then
That's something I would have appreciated.
Right, yeah.
For you to not come to the door because I don't have to talk to someone I don't know.
Right. So he's like, dude, Jehovah's Witness, get down. Oh, fuck. And he was like a sergeant in the military, so he said it very convincingly. And then when I moved to Springfield, when I was living at Scott's house, had him come by. I answered the door. I said hi. I was really polite. And they said, what do you think about how bad the world is getting or whatever? And I said, well, statistically, it's not. There's actually less violence overall in the world than there's ever been, like ever in human history. And then she's like, oh, well, and they're like giving me the spiel. And then I told them I was a Thelmite, and then it was kind of like witchcraft. And they're like, oh, okay, well, if you want to read this, I'm like, oh yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
Did you grab it and then go like act like it would burn you or something? That would have been.
No, I wish I would have thought of that. Didn't think of that.
No, they were going
But I
to
was
count that
open to
pamphlet
conversation.
and
I
then
really
put
wanted
you
to
down as do not call. Because
Yeah.
there was that.
Yeah,
People
well,
would
You
get
gotta do
and you
not
know what's
call
funny
us.
about
People
that?
would get violent sometimes, so you don't go back.
Right, yeah.
I did telemarketing for like lots of my career on the phone. So and they had a do not call list. If you were like required, if they said don't call me anymore, you had to like you had a Jehovah's Witness do not.
Yes.
It's similar to that, except the agents are in the kingdom of heaven.
Well, they have a whole map system, and you check out a territory, and they give you this
Territory.
little plastic sleeve with
So
a
when
map
somebody
in it.
They
encroaches
sound
on
like
your
wanderers, like traveling Jehovah Witnesses.
Traveling with the doctrine that will destroy your life.
It's like a D&D campaign.
What would be the differences if someone let's just say someone's your stock standard evangelical style Christian and you walk up their house and they're like Jehovah's Witness, yeah, I'm a Christian. What's the difference? What's the difference between you and me? Yeah, we both believe we should spread the faith. What's the difference though?
That there's Jehovah. Like most people don't, I mean, like that's it. It's all about
Whoa.
you got to get in or you're gonna fry.
You're supposed to refuse military service and blood
You
transfusions.
cannot. I never saluted
As well.
the flag or did the Pledge of Allegiance or stood during the national anthem.
I don't do that
No,
stuff.
Yeah,
every day.
that doesn't
Sounds
sound
pretty
too
cool
bad.
so far. Okay.
But you're told not to.
Oh, like
So, but are you saying it's a pacifist religion?
It's like, okay, you're supposed to respect the authority, but your allegiance belongs to Jehovah.
Mm. And birthdays. The birthday thing.
You know, my cousin ratted on me in like the 3rd grade because I ate a cupcake that was brought in for a kid's birthday. I got in trouble for eating a cupcake that was for a birthday.
Jesus. Did they like cane you or something?
No, I just got in trouble. Like I got yelled at by my mom. My fucking cousin. What a bitch.
But
Why-
they didn't
why-
they didn't make you wear anything. Like you didn't have to wear
a dunce
outfits.
hat.
Suits.
Collar and shame you. I'm
Yeah.
curious of why you couldn't eat the cake. What was the reason for that?
Because
you're celebrating a birthday.
Why?
because it was
anniversary
for
of
a birthday
someone.
celebration.
Why
I just
can't
wanted
you,
a fucking cupcake. That's what I told my mom.
Why can't you celebrate a birthday?
Why did
Satan's
you take
cupcakes.
a cupcake? I'm like, it's a cupcake, Mom. I'm a freaking kid. Why
Because
wouldn't I
they-
take a cupcake?
So you-
There's some theological basis that they have for not celebrating this. You're not supposed to be
Okay.
celebrating man-made stuff. What's the?
The birthday thing is based on John the Baptist and his head being severed. Apparently, that was Herod's wife's birthday, and so it's like they consider that the first recorded birthday celebration. So it's
So
blasphemous
it's evil.
to celebrate your birthday
Wow.
because
I did not know that.
yeah, that's yeah.
Wow.
So you've only celebrated your birthday a handful of times. I'm assuming that was after adulthood.
Yeah, I mean, I did the 21.
Mm-hmm.
Is when she became a heathen.
So never at home your birthday was celebrated is my question.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
All right,
no.
so
We're talked about.
Okay, so as far as
Except,
transgressions,
hey, you're 8 today. Go to school.
So what's really funny about this is there's all these weird minor transgressions that are just symbolism and celebrating weird things and whatever. So then what happens when you get into heavier shit like drugs, sex, stealing from someone? Because there was a thing growing up Christian, which was if you tell a lie, it's the same as stabbing someone in the eye or some shit. Which was always crazy to me. It's every sin is equal. No, it isn't.
That's Old Testament ass
crazy.
Fuck.
You would be reprimanded.
But yeah,
and you would have to basically kiss ass to stay and promise that you'll get better. And then if you don't,
but is there that
they might just go ahead and.
But are there
the D word
levels
down on
of worse shit you can do? Is it like that where they tell you, oh, if you do this, it's equal to the worst fucking possible
if
thing?
you get in trouble for doing something, a committee is put together. A committee of about 5 or 6 elders in the congregation. And you go in a little room and they ask you questions.
Wow.
Whoa.
So how many times has that happened to you, if ever?
Well, it was just the one time, and what happened was my it's called being disfellowshipped when they officially kick you out.
This is just like excommunicating someone from the church,
exactly.
right?
It's just another way of saying that. But so on that day, I was getting in trouble because my best friend got himself in trouble and was disfellowshipped. When you're disfellowshipped, you can't talk to the person, even if they're your family. You're supposed to cut them off. And I was like,
that's
my best friend. I'm not going to stop talking to my best friend. So we were still hanging out and spending time together. And he felt guilty and told on us. That's the best way to describe it. That we were sneaking out and hanging out because he wanted to get back in. I'm like, dude, you're out. Why the hell are you wanting back in?
Rejoice.
So after that happened, I had to sit there in front, I was only 17, so they had my mom come in. I think they did that for psychological purposes. But they made my mom cry, and that pissed me the fuck off. They're asking me out. They're like, well, here's this is what so-and-so said happened, and, just go ahead and tell us what would happen. They want details. They want to hear, you talking about having sex with each other or something. Or, oh, I touched his penis. They want to hear that. It's sick as hell. Because they're all old white dudes.
I would want to hear about it, too.
Well, they're all old white dudes and they don't get access to porn.
So we correlated this story, and they're like, well, that is considered pornea, which is Latin for fornication. And, that's a pretty serious thing. And I said, look, I do not want to do this anymore. I said, this is not what I want from my life. And, I was going through depression. My mom's going through depression. So she tried to talk to them a little bit about that. And I will never forget how bad I wanted to punch this guy. When he said, he looked her straight in the eye and said, everybody gets to lose. And she just started crying. And I was like, no, we're done.
So that's the point where you left?
No. I just, because I don't even now, I don't even know why I gave them the chance to even do that. Why, I could have just walked away. But, that's how tight the grasp is when you're indoctrinated like that. And
divide up families and shit.
Yes, they make you choose. And that's, it was really fucked up. So I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just not doing it. My mom is crying, and they're like, well, this definitely is going to weigh on our decision. And I'm like, there's no decision, guys. I'm done. So, yeah.
So could you not talk to your mom anymore when you left, or did she leave as well?
Oh, no, she's devout, but my mom is also bitchin', and she loves me no matter what. So, yeah, they asked her didn't ask her, but they thought it would be a good idea for her to tell me that I would need to find somewhere else to live at the age of 17. They wanted her to kick me out of my parents' house. And my mom's like, no, I mean, seriously? And so she kind of got a little bit shunned after that, for having it.
Is she still today?
Yes.
Okay.
She is. And I have one sister who's still hanging on.
I'm curious. How do they justify based on the only reason I'm asking this? I mean, as somebody who's raised in a Christian family, most people know, go unto the world. What I'm wondering though is with them being so particularly stressing the idea of witnessing to people to the point where they're haranguing you guys to go out and like canvass the area. How do they mesh that, or how do they reason that in along with excommunication and ideas like, well, you all of a sudden shouldn't even talk to somebody? Because it seems like the whole point is the whole world's full of sinners. Go out and preach them, and then as soon as you find one that you know is a sinner, then you immediately you can't hang out to have a word with him. You know what I'm saying? Everything you're describing is in opposition to the...
Yeah, that's...
In my personal experiences, because I was baptized, I went ahead and went through the baptism.
But
ritual.
Religion being hypocritical isn't really like...
Well, no, but most of them...
That's like an automatic cutoff right there.
Being a part of religious stuff, I know that even if people are being irrational, there's usually some rationale for it. So I'm wondering if there was some rationale where they explained to you, well, here's where you want to go out and help people, but then there's this point right here where now you can't talk to them anymore. What that is? Did they ever explain that to you?
They make it very clear what you should and shouldn't do.
Okay, here's a question. Is the what excommunication or what was it called? What did you say it was?
Disfellowship.
Disfellowship. Is that written in Scripture, or is that just like a dogma applied to the culture? Like, is that like a cultural, like, organizational thing? Mm-hmm. Or is that like in actual text?
I think it's considered like a severe act of defiance against Jehovah, yeah. And if it's not...
So it's kind of the same thing as,
if it's not Jehovah, it's Satan.
There's no other God before me kind of shit, right?
No, and they don't believe in the Trinity either.
So it kind of is...
Which is weird because, like, the whole name Jehovah comes from the Tetragrammaton, which is a whole threefold name for God anyway. Like, so that...
Charles Taze Russell actually began the doctrine. His tombstone is a Masonic...
Sweet.
The eye pyramid. Yeah. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah.
They don't want you to know that.
The religion, apparently, from what I'm able to find...
You said who started Jehovah's?
Originally, it was a man named Charles Taze Russell. And he just came up with some ideas, I guess, and
he had a giant dick.
Charles Taze Russell, 1852 to 1961.
It seems like there's several people that claim some divine inspiration or to have found some ancient knowledge of things. Was there something like that with them, or is this just... I'm interested in this too. I'm not really that familiar with the history of...
I know what you're asking, and I can't think of what it's called. What is that? You're on Wikipedia?
I'm on the Pedias.
Yeah, I am too. I scrolled down to the sub title here that says Satan.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm drawn to naturally.
Naturally, I feel like.
But they basically have the same Adam and Eve story about Satan influencing Adam and Eve to disobey God. And then, but here's the fun part. Jehovah's Witnesses teach that Satan and his demons were cast down to earth from heaven after October 1st, 1914.
Yeah.
At which point the end times began.
Yeah.
They believe that Satan is the ruler of the current world order, that human society is influenced and misled by Satan and his demons, and that they are a cause of human suffering. They also believe that human governments are controlled by Satan. That he does not directly control each human ruler.
It's common knowledge that Satan came down and shot the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, like right in the fucking face, just to kick off World War I. Like that was actually a thing. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Satan is who hacked the DNC too, if I remember.
That is true. That was also was confirmed.
Or headed up the DNC. I can't remember.
A little bit of both, actually. It was kind of an inside weird job thing. It was backed by Anonymous,
Satan.
and they're all together on that.
Satan also would not quit making me masturbate when I was younger.
It's true.
Just kept making me masturbate.
He would show up in your room and grab your wrist and just start, making
like
you grab your
what is
cock.
that called? Dutch rudder.
Yeah. He's like, why are you
Dutch
masturbating?
ruddering.
Why are you masturbating, Jeff? Why are you masturbating?
All the time, yeah. Why are you hitting yourself?
Satan gave me such a complex. Why do you keep jerking off, Jeff? Why do you keep jerking off, Jeff? Then you cry.
Stop beating yourself.
Stop beating yourself.
I get it. That took me a second.
So, how soon do you think this shit'll crumble with, the internet?
You should find reference to a couple of other dates that they gave out as being the end, like where people actually sold everything they had and just they were ready, and they did it twice before they finally just stuck with the anytime now.
I have a story that I have to say. I lived with a woman like that when I lived in South Carolina, and
was she a Jehovah's Witness?
I don't know, but okay. The thing is, Harold Camping. You remember Harold Camping, and he said the world was gonna end.
Yes, right.
She followed that guy, and anyway, basically, I moved out the first day I moved in, and I took all my stuff. And what was really hilarious is I decided to leave her a present in her box because she had a box in her bathroom.
Her box?
In her box. She had a box with rice and all kinds of shit. Rice and beans or something, a survival box.
Wow.
And I went to a store and I got her a bottle of Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo, No More Tears formula. And I wrapped it up and I put it in there. And I said, open at the end of the world. No more tears so she won't cry.
Right.
That's what I left her. And I left.
But did you
apocalyptic
really
death.
live with her if you moved out the same day? That's
Or
hanging out with someone for a day.
It was the next day or something, yeah. No, seriously.
It's like a
That was
sleepover.
Donovan.
Not living with her.
Hi, Donovan.
That's how I want to live my life. I'm just going to stay at people's houses in a series of sleepovers.
But say you lived with them
No.
each one of those days.
I was seriously moving in because my job was right across from where she lived. Her apartments
That's convenient.
were behind
That
my
is
job.
super convenient.
So I could walk to my job.
That's prime real estate.
And, not
But
only is it convenient,
she was
you
a
would
psycho.
have all the materials you need in case there's a bombing. Or
Yeah, right.
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes on a plane.
I love
That's my
how
story.
proud of that movie Samuel L. Jackson is. I appreciate that dude standing by that shit.
Apparently, they were gonna change the title, and he's like, "I'm not doing it if you
Yeah,
change
to
the
flight
title."
something, he
That's
goes,
just supposed to be a
no,
working title.
it's Snakes on the motherfucking plane. It's gonna be called Snakes on the motherfucking plane. He did a Graham Norton interview in the UK. It was hilarious.
That's
So,
Wait. Before you start, Jeff,
what?
I just want to clear the air with this.
What about your sex and poop talk?
No,
okay.
we'll save that for later. I've got a bunch of that for you.
Okay.
Just for you. But no, pi, which is the Greek letter for p, or is the ratio of the circumference of any circle to the diameter of the circle. Regardless of the circle's size, this ratio will always be equal to pi. In decimal form, the value of pi is approximately 3.14 and so on.
3.14159 something. But
So I was
it's
getting
a
there.
ratio. It is. No, he was
No,
right.
you-
I don't,
Yeah,
he
I
said
don't think it
ratio.
ever hits a repeating number. I could be wrong. Does it ever
It
hit a
doesn't
repeating
repeat.
number?
No,
Oh, it doesn't?
I don't think so.
it doesn't repeat.
It is the ratio, but I got the
Definitely doesn't
diameter
hit
in there.
infinitely.
I just wanted to say I got a word
It's
right.
the ratio of the diameter of the circumference, right?
In other words,
See, it's
pi
been way
times the
too
radius
long
squared.
Since I ever needed to know that. Like,
Okay, we're done with the pie talk.
I'm sorry, I fell asleep. What happened?
What were you talking? Where were you starting this off at?
I don't know. Poop and sex.
Oh,
I just keep thinking about actual pie.
I ate pumpkin pie before I came over here. And pizza pie.
So literal.
French.
I have a raspberry pie like in the closet over there.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's running a Squeezebox server, so I can broadcast.
Oh,
movies
is that
and
the thing you
music
showed
to
off
multiple
of
raspberry pies.
newegg.com? Is that the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the link. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's
it's
nice.
got. It's called Max 2 Play. It has Squeezebox server and home automation and all kinds of cool shit. And I'm still trying to figure out how to write a plugin for it.
You can do some cool things
And
with
we're
pi,
just
man.
gonna make
Pull
this.
that cord and turn it
So
down.
boring. Oh yeah, I was gonna ask if we might
Sorry,
turn
yeah.
the fan.
I really wanted to get one of those and install it
Sorry to
alongside an LCD. I
abuse
want
the tall
for like a gaming console.
For my
Retro
Oh yeah,
gaming,
no,
retro
on
gaming console.
RetroPie, just download the OS and
Mm-hmm.
put it on there. Yeah, I've got one somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, we got one.
Little home arcade.
It's really cool. We got a shitload of games on
or
it.
something on it. One of them.
Yeah, we got a shitload of games on that thing.
Christina, when did you lose your virginity?
17 and a half.
Okay, so after you left.
No.
You dirty whore.
It was when I decided that I was, yeah.
Hey,
Which was
hey,
a little before I actually got
Secret
in trouble.
whore.
She
okay?
she really said when she said fuck this place, she meant it.
She's like, I'm
Yeah.
all 6 of you elders. Right
I
here.
would just cover that podium, which a woman is not allowed to stand on.
Oh.
No. Because their
They can
vaginas get in
stand
the
off
way.
to the side and sit in a chair.
So it's a sexist religion.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little sexist.
Yeah, they like it when you get married young.
So then,
That's disturbing.
Well,
shit, I don't know what else to
because
ask.
you
Now
get
it's
married
like-
when they get married when they're 17 and 18 because they want to have sex. Because if they do before
You're
that,
like in a rush. You're
Hey.
like,
then
yeah.
they're gonna get out they go.
So do Jehovah's Witnesses have barbs on their penis?
Barbs?
No, those
The
are
barbs on
dogs.
the-
Or
Oh,
cats. No, they're cats. They're
have
cats.
Barbs on their penis.
Dogs like
That's
inflate when they
Yeah.
enter.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
I know.
Like you're not.
Oh, that's right. No, Jehovah's Witnesses, their guilt inflates. Right.
Yeah.
Can they breathe underwater?
I thought that would be better.
Burn. No, it was a burn.
That
It was a
would be
burn.
better.
Hellish.
That failed
Hellish burn.
miserably. That was terrible.
You're going to
I'm
hell.
a bad person.
Oh, and they don't believe in hell.
They don't. Oh, because they believe hell is on Earth, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
No
Do
hell.
they actually
'Cause
believe it's
shit
in the
has
center
started.
of the earth? Or is it just like earth?
No, it's
No,
just
they don't-
demons
they don't
walk
believe it
among
exists.
us.
And it's flat. The
Just
earth
that
is
demons
flat.
walk among
It's a
us
flat hell.
and teach
It's a
us
flat
how to
hell.
do anal and vote Democrat. And
Oh,
like,
that sounds awesome.
and
That's a good question. Hey, that's a good question. Of your Jehovah's Witness fellows, what typically were their political leanings? Obviously, everybody's probably pro-life.
yeah.
Neutral.
Neutral?
Oh,
you don't
you
get
mean-
involved in any of that stuff? Do they have
Yeah,
a
of course,
stance
you don't
on
believe-
voting?
No.
Do it.
Probably
Yeah, you
believe
don't
in,
vote.
like,
You don't
nation
vote.
No.
States or whatever. They
Like,
probably
my parents have never voted.
Yeah.
I have, though.
Oh, yeah, I don't give a shit. That's cool.
And I had
Probably
had to
have.
call my mom as soon as it was done.
Yeah, there's certain parts of it.
Were you, like,
I think are
scared?
kinda
No, I just
cool,
wanted to tell her.
but, Like,
Oh.
I'm like, I voted. Yeah.
like that. You know,
I did something normal.
Like not pledging allegiance to anything.
She's like, "Oh,
obviously.
you're
like, you
silly."
wouldn't pledge
Right.
allegiance
So,
to
I'm
Jehovah
assuming-
either, but
They're anti-war,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I was asking earlier.
Yeah,
are you
that's-
pacifists?
Yeah, no military service.
Well, everything you mentioned sounds like a pacifist ideology. So, like, you were not supposed to, obviously, you weren't supposed to fight at people. You were strict pacifist,
Oh, yeah.
ideologically, right?
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah,
supposed to
pacifist.
even
Except
defend
when
yourself
they want to
against
talk
somebody.
about their Lord Jesus, then they're
but
very
internally
aggressive.
they were more passive aggressive. So they just cut you off.
They're passive.
Aggressive pacifist.
Yeah.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
A very aggressive.
I've known some very aggressive with the whole preaching thing, the going door to door thing. People hardcore would get into that shit. Like, what could you possibly enjoy about that?
What are
I think it's well, okay. So Mormons seem delightful, right? Like they just seem like happy-go-lucky people.
Yeah, because they get like 18 wives.
And I guess there's that.
say incredibly repressed-looking spheres of people, but okay.
There are
look
some
happy.
very
They look
good
happy. But
people that happen to unfortunately be Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
But
then
that's the
if
sad
you go-
part, is that they're actually good people, and it just sucks they don't see
Right.
how terrible it is.
Well, but then the same thing is said about like Mormons in like Salt Lake City, that area. They are like more like the hardcore ones are more like a cult, and it's like if you leave, you don't get to come back. You know, like there's like there's Mormon refugees and shit like that. So it's a really similar thing. These kids that like run away at like 16 or whatever, and then they just can't go back.
You can get back
Because their
in.
family won't let them back in.
You better get on your knees and beg them. And then you
Get
go
on
through
your
like a
knees and suck
probation
Jehovah's dick.
period where you can, you still come to the meetings, but you have to sit in the back and you can't come in until like after the first prayer is said. And you have to sit in the back by yourself and nobody's allowed to talk to you.
So it's like Jehovah's Witness AA. You gotta go and
The
go through that
premise
shit.
behind it being that's
Yeah.
your punishment.
Gotta pay some kind of
rest.
penance within the structure.
You have to be humiliated and sit in the back
This is the
because
thing that
you're a bad
sticks.
kid for a few months or whatever.
This is the thing that sticks out to me about Jehovah's Witness is you were mentioning something about somebody said something about some people being a little more lax or something like that, and being a less part of a less organized religion. You always found people who were like, yeah, but we all know that when this or that senior person says this, we all know what's real. And you put up with that a little bit because they don't understand. But what seems to me with Jehovah's Witness, that it seems very nationwide, structured like a corporation, where it seems a lot more structured and the top has a little more control of what's going on the bottom. Does that
The
make sense?
top has
I'm curious about the structure and
The
how
top
they
has complete control. They're
That's what
called the governing body, and they were in Brooklyn, New York for a long, long time, and now they're in Patterson, New York, which is actually like an open, more rural area.
So,
But yeah, it's very much an organizational structure.
I mean, you would have to be
like,
pretty organized for door-to-door sales. That's
These are the dudes
kind of
that
thing.
decide everything. They're the ones who tell them what to write.
When you say decide everything, you
They
mean
decide
doctrine,
Everything.
not just the business decisions,
Yeah.
but the actual interpretation.
And there are people who are called like overseers, where they travel around and like check on congregations and make sure that they don't need any help with anything. Everybody's doing okay.
Yeah, they've been.
And they make a big deal. They always made a big deal out of the Sunday that the circuit overseer is going to be
They've been.
there.
The inspections would it
Circuit
be more?
overseer.
Would it be more
no,
like
it's
the,
more like a celebrity status.
Oh, okay.
They're like, oh, you got it.
Okay.
The circuit overseer's giving a talk.
A lot of this stuff sounds so much. You met Mormons, and then also, what's the big one? And all the celebrities are
Scientology.
Scientology.
The celebrities, you mean Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
And John
Will
Travolta.
Smith,
No, there are a lot of
Really?
celebrities who are Scientologists.
There was
and my voodoo doll is a Scientologist.
That's true. He's
And
My
voodoo
dog's
doll
a
is
Scientologist.
is a Scientologist.
Yeah.
My dog, yeah.
How financially involved do they make people too? Because it seems like when it comes to Scientology, that okay, it's clear they're just reaching onto
Everything's
the
on a
field.
donation basis.
Okay, they don't dig. Or do they dig into your finances
No.
or?
Not invasive like that at all.
But
they own millions of dollars worth of property in downtown Manhattan. They're worth a lot of money. But people don't believe that it's there. I said that to my mom. She's like, ugh, that's not true. They just had to move from Brooklyn to... I'm just like... They also apparently paid off every single one of the buildings just one day. They just picked a day and paid all of them off.
And by all the buildings in the United States?
No, all paid off the mortgages for all the Kingdom Halls.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All the churches, they just paid off the debt on.
They just cleared them out.
Nice.
But they don't have any money.
They should buy me a house.
Do they have any celebrities?
They've had a lot of...
Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Prince was an active Jehovah's Witness.
Yes.
That's
Nice.
probably why he's so
I know that.
successful, because he's a Jehovah's Witness.
Well, he hasn't.
And he's dead.
I didn't think he had been for very long.
I thought he had kind of a strained relationship with the church. He didn't
What's
talk a lot.
Prince? I'm sure he did his own thing.
Yeah, well,
Clearly, yeah.
I mean,
if that's cool in Jehovah's Witness, maybe I'm in. I don't know.
That's just
It
proof
might
a
be
sexy
frowned
guitar
upon.
can fix everything, really.
well, that's
I was really
frowned
hoping
upon.
she would be like, well, actually,
All
Prince
you
came
need
into
is-
my kingdom all one time.
I wish Prince would have fucking came in.
Did this big phallic guitar thing up on the stage.
I think if you have a sexy guitar, it doesn't matter what cult you're in. They'll just be like, all right, we'll let him slide. Like, it's fine.
It's in the door on the bottom.
If you're Prince, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if he was a member of ISIS. They'd just be
apparently-
like, oh yeah, he's all right.
Apparently,
It's fucking Prince. Let him go.
He went out in service and knocked on people's doors. Could you imagine? Answering
Wow.
the door and Prince being like,
oh man, that'd be so great.
"You need to be a Jehovah's
God.
Witness." Thank you.
Hi, my name
knocks
is
on
Prince,
the
and
door.
this is Jehovah.
Yeah. Or you're like, oh
That
my
should be
god,
an
Prince.
album.
Oh my god, can I get your autograph? Sure. And then he signs the autograph. And they're like, oh my god, why are you here? I want to tell you about Joe. Oh, get the fuck out, Prince. What are you
Come on,
get the
Prince.
fuck off my
Prince
lawn.
gave me a signed copy of the Watchtower.
Oh,
be
the
great.
Watchtower.
He just shows up and
Watchtower
playing
and
fucking
awake.
Jimi Hendrix all along the
with
Watchtower,
exclamation mark.
and he just hands out pamphlets. He's
that?
just
That's
covering.
the monthly literature that comes out every month.
That's a solid
Like a
idea.
newsletter.
Yeah, pamphlets. Every.
What was the most interesting thing you've read in a pamphlet like that? Or maybe craziest thing that you've seen?
It's all pretty fucking crazy.
Hey, they had a big part in the decision to add fighting words to the First Amendment. Yeah.
What does that mean?
So there's in the First Amendment there is kind of like an exception or whatever for fighting words. If you outright say something to incite violence, then that's not protected free speech. Of course, that's shaky, and that courts have to decide that shit, whatever. But according to what I just read, the fighting words doctrine was established by Chepelinski versus New Hampshire in 1942. In that case, one of Jehovah's Witnesses had reportedly told a New Hampshire town marshal who was attempting to prevent him from preaching, "You are a damned racketeer and a damned fascist," and was arrested. The court upheld the
I
arrest,
like this guy.
thus establishing
Sounds
that
pretty interesting.
insulting or fighting words, those that by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace, are among the well-defined and narrowly limited cases of speech which the prevention and punishment of have never been thought to raise any constitutional problem. So I never really liked that fighting words thing anyway, because I think that's very subjective.
What about some Supreme Court case rule?
Yeah, they've influenced a lot of Supreme Court cases, evidently. which is what I'm seeing here. Stuff related to like human rights and shit. So, yeah, fun stuff to look up when you're learning more about your friends being in a cult. You know,
just as many,
as we do.
Terrible sex crimes as Catholics.
Yeah, I saw something about that too.
Yeah, and the secrecy, and the same amount of secrecy that goes with it.
Wherever there's a religious man in a fun hat, there is groping.
So, actually, going back to Prince, or just celebrating in general. Sorry, I'm taking this back.
What? Who told you could be on the podcast?
Let him talk about Prince.
I don't really want to talk about Prince, but what I wanted to ask was there, like, how Scientologists, because, like, for a week back or something like that, I was looking a lot of stuff about Scientology. Do they have, like, a special group for, like, the celebrities, like Scientologists? Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to know.
Probably not.
A special group?
Yeah, well, basically, they're kind of separated from all the normal people that are famous.
By their success level or something, they would
Yeah.
have Scientology, right? Like something like that, some shit like that. If you make net worth, whatever.
Well, I mean,
you're part of the elitists.
You could get a rank.
You gotta get one.
It really wasn't that important.
You gotta put money in for that, though.
Yeah, you put money in. Yeah.
It's like buying a VIP ticket, you know.
Right. It's like you're first in line to Xenu or whatever the fuck.
You gotta qualify for the Jehovah's Witness relocation program.
Right.
I did tell the woman that I was a recovering Jehovah's Witness, and that's why I wasn't going to take her. But she didn't know quite how to react to
I'm gonna
that.
talk
I
to
thought
him
that was
now.
pretty funny.
I'm gonna like pull up this Wikipedia article when I see him at the door, and be like, "Hey, let me ask you a couple things." It'll be fun.
There is a benefit
I had a lot
to
of
me
fun.
being disfellowshipped because it's hilarious. People aren't supposed to talk to you, blah, 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 blah. So in situations where I'm around those people, the first thing I do is get right in their fucking bubble. And I'm like, hey, how are you? Because these are people who, like, literally watch me grow up. And all of a sudden, you just don't exist. I'm just like, no. Hey, how are you? They can't help but not be a normal person and say hi back, but it just totally takes all of that power that they think that they have because they're blocking your evil. Well, and Michael Jackson was,
Which, by the way,
the whole Jackson family.
What? Really?
Yeah, his mother
makes
is
sense.
still devout.
What?
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on Michael Jackson, and he grew up in kind of a shitty
His
home.
dad was a terrible person. He
he
beat the
was
shit out of his kids
abusive. Yeah.
to make
I
music.
I saw
Make up some
something
money.
where he had like a pet rat, and he kept a pet rat in his room, and then like his dad like brutally killed this rat in front of Michael Jackson just because he loved it so much.
That's kind of fucked up.
He's
That explains a lot about Michael Jackson.
fucked up.
Were you instructed to refer to Prince in any certain way, like the artist
didn't-
formerly known as, or anything, or were you?
I don't know.
Do
I
you
would
know
love
the
to talk to-
pronunciation of his symbol? Is what I want to know.
I would love to talk to someone who actually
It's Yahweh. It's Yahweh.
was there.
As it turns out, the symbol is pronounced Yahweh.
It'd be amazing if that was
Jehovah.
actually like a thing written somewhere. Like there's like all these Jehovah's Witness secrets, and one of them is the pronunciation of Prince's symbol.
So after doing a quick Google search,
The pronunciation is the artist formerly known as.
after doing a quick Google search on famous Jehovah's Witnesses, we've got Luke Evans, Janet Jackson, of course, Damon Wayans. Yeah, I didn't get that one either.
But only one of the Wayans brothers.
Only one. Mark John Jeffries, Venus Williams, the tennis
Oh
player.
yeah, the twin sisters are.
Yeah.
Wait, I was going to say only one of the twins, but come on,
Not the
all the
family.
Wayans must be.
The family.
George Benson, Prince, of course. Michael Jackson, we knew that. The Notorious B.I.G.
Are they just claiming that because he's dead?
Jehovah's Witness. Rapping
He was
in
also a
heaven.
podcast member here.
They took a side in the East Coast West Coast rap battle. Like they were like,
Dave
we want
Mustaine.
Biggie. We want Biggie for
We're just a more East Coast style rap cult.
Dave Mustaine was a Jehovah's Witness up until 2002.
Oh wow.
Who?
Dave Mustaine.
Dave Mustaine.
Oh, well, no, he's been recently converted though, right?
Yep, in 2002 he became a born again Christian.
Oh, he gave a long interview talking about how he thought Satan had like inspired him to write music and stuff, and like, man, I talked to Satan, dude. Man, that guy's done a lot.
Is that why he wasn't hired for Metallica?
That might be a factor. Michelle
Or the
Rodriguez.
booze. That or the booze.
I think my
Incredibly drunk before every
cab
show they
is
played.
Dave Mustaine cab. Signature Ozfest cab.
Did you know that Megadeth just won a Grammy?
Really?
No.
Yeah, best live performance.
Huh.
Periphery
I
was
did not
nominated
know
back
that.
to that, but no, Megadeth won, and it was an awesome performance too. They were nominated for, but it's really funny because when they walk up, the house band plays a Metallica song. They play Master of Puppets,
What?
and
Wow.
apparently he didn't know it. Dave Mustaine didn't know that. He says he didn't even hear it. So whatever. It's not a controversy about they played a Metallica. It's a controversy over they played it so bad and it sounds so terrible that he said afterwards after he heard.
Yeah.
Because some people, I guess people were complaining that they played a Metallica song. They played Master of Puppets whenever you came up to accept your Megadeth award. And he said, I don't know. And then he went back and listened to it. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know that, but
Yeah.
it's terrible. And it's really bad. He was like, man, I was cool with. I understood. I was like, they thought, well, I don't know any Megadeth song, so we'll play a Metallica song. But they just played it so bad
All I knew
that
is
he was
they weren't-
offended by how bad it was.
All I knew is they weren't playing jazz anymore. That's all I knew. Because that's all they. They're all jazz musicians.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They're all jazz musicians.
Herbal jazz hands.
All those house bands, man. They're all jazz musicians.
Yeah.
Your dog's face is in my crotch again.
Max Weinberg, jazz musician.
I'm sorry, Dublin.
He went there. I'm just receiving.
Stop molesting my dog. Please.
Receiving.
But no, he did a long interview of how he
This,
was
Is this live?
turned.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, are we?
No.
I'm not dead yet. No.
Well, I mean, I was just wondering because
That's a really
Yeah, it's kind of hit a
subjective
wall,
question.
hasn't it?
that would
It's kinda
be
like-
a really late night podcast.
We kind of hit a wall, didn't we?
Hit your, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we hit the wall like 10 minutes in. I'm just kidding.
That's true. I'm gonna have to edit all this shit out.
Yeah.
The whole
There's
thing.
gonna be editing on this one.
We still got a half
yeah.
hour left. Does anybody got anything interesting to
Well,
talk
I'm
about?
actually wondering, because you guys are talking about things, because you're talking about like
We can
People-
use some sketches.
Easter candy.
people coming up to your door, Jehovah's Witness come up to your
I didn't
door,
start on
and
my-
you were talking about, you said, oh, I am a something, which means Wiccan, and I know you guys have some stuff that I don't know about as far as, hey, you bringing people on, I'm just asking. What's the name of the podcast again? I'm trying to get you guys your plugs in.
Contextually Yours.
Okay,
Well, I'm trying to think of everything in context.
You can.
So what I was wondering was, what was that thing you asked about, or what was the thing that you stated about having
And
said you were to a...
What I said I was Thalemist, and then she asked me what that was,
Jeff?
which I
Jeff,
don't.
What is
I
that?
don't like to claim that because I don't feel I'm worthy to.
But you did claim that just because you...
Just because I knew they would ask, and then I could tell them it's kind of like witchcraft, and I could tell them about.
It was something you
Aleister
knew enough
Crowley.
about that you could
So
counter them with something.
yeah,
to-
that's something I could freak them out with, and they were talking
But
about.
you said it for a reason, so I'm assuming you...
end times and all this shit.
Right.
And so I was like, I was basically telling them, well, if you ever want to learn anything, just come on back by. Like, I was really nice to them. And they even said, she had even said, well, I like to have more of these conversations. Go ahead and read over the book. I'm like, yeah, me too. You know, and they never fucking came back. But I totally would have talked to them more.
You should hand out like OTO pamphlets, like OTO newsletters, and just be like, here you go.
That'd be amazing.
Have your own card specifically for Jehovah's Witness. Like, are you? And it just says, "Are you a Jehovah's Witness?" Or maybe it just says, "I'm a Jehovah's Witness, so I should call this guy. Come over and hang out." What does that mean? What does the Thelемist mean?
It's Aleister Crowley.
Did I say that right?
Yeah. It's Aleister Crowley's religion, basically. Who was?
Assume I know nothing.
It's an occultist.
I don't know anything.
Very famous
Britain
occultist.
In
He was kind of a sinister motherfucker.
yeah, he was once called the wickedest man in the world.
Not
Hold on.
a good guy.
Depends.
Yeah, it depends on your
This in
what
this, in
you
this
read about it
particular
and what you
situation.
think is true or false or whatever.
Oh,
But,
are you are you expecting to find some false
Aleister Crowley,
information?
born 12 October
There we
1875 through the 1st of December 1947, was an English occultist, ceremonial magician, poet, painter, novelist, and mountaineer. He founded the religion of Thelema, identifying himself as the prophet entrusted with guiding humanity into the Aeon of Horus in the early 20th century. A prolific writer, he was published widely over the course of his life.
Sorry.
I could read the whole fucking thing, but this is really fucking long.
So
That was lovely.
basically, it takes elements of a lot of religions.
Yeah.
Mishmash of a lot of things. Because
So that
I
means that I
need
can
to
make that
learn more
happen.
things about this. Because I know some very, very basic, rudimentary chaos magic stuff. And that's
What are the basic tenets of theism?
Oh, okay, so what I get out of like magical ritual, is you can basically train your mind with symbols and kind of implant them subconsciously so that you can manifest whatever you want, essentially. It's more like
It's something about affecting your own mind.
I
not,
look at it
not
more as a psychological science.
You're talking about something something you're trying to manifest in your own mind, as opposed to
Yeah.
affect the outer world outside of you or something.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's things that you can do that, but it's still kind of your own perception, and yeah,
It's a very syncretic philosophy in religion. Like, the core tenet of Thelema is do what thou wilt. And that's only part of it. Yes, I know, but I'm specifically glazing over that. However, beyond that point, there's not really a straightforward interpretation, and there are actually many interpretations of what Thelema is. But it deals a lot with, of course, mastery of the self and not living by the constraints of societal.
right.
Can we talk
Yeah,
about
or-
leprechauns?
Yeah, sure, fuck it. Why not?
No,
let's talk
guys.
about leprechauns.
Okay, guys.
Segue.
Yeah, leprechauns. I mean, they're adorable. They have a great story.
I haven't started on my poop and sex stories yet.
No.
Well, we talked about sex a little bit.
Yeah, you missed
but
it.
It was robot rape, but I mean,
I've pooped twice during this podcast, so I don't understand what the complaint here is.
in that chair.
I
smells
wonder
really bad.
I wonder about things that have reaching effects on other systems. So, like we're talking about Jehovah's Witness, which has some kind of want to have an effect on things, and we're talking about whatever I forgot the word that you said.
I'm confused by what you're getting at.
Well, I'm not concerned with people who don't want to like rule over other. It doesn't sound like. Sounds terrible and like pathological. The stuff that we're talking about Jehovah's Witness.
Like a cult. Okay, so
with the cult
like
and
the
stuff.
difference
And
between
the thing with
cult
you're
and
talking about-
occult, right?
Well, not a space cult.
No,
and
occult.
Occult. No. Well, yeah. Well, that's actually something that's
Like the Raelians?
intentionally something I brought up. But I'm just wondering, like, what's the difference between? Well, you do your occult cult. That's very good. I think that's good.
Occult.
Occult. No, O-C. I got you. Is it 2 C's? How many C's?
Two
Do I
C's.
have?
Two
I've heard a
C's.
couple
Two
C's.
C's.
I've seen one.
Actually, there's 7 C's.
There's 3.1.
That's the dad joke of the podcast.
I prefer
The
like
dad joke of the
if
podcast,
I'm-
brought to you by Spatula City.
really because I thought you were trying to tie the 7 number value into the count of C's within the word occult. Like I was going too deep with it. I'm sorry.
No, but that's good. I like that.
But I was wondering. No, I was wondering what the difference between and even just saying it here, I kind of feel like I know what the difference is. I wonder what the person who's sitting here is saying she was involved in a cult versus you're talking about a different belief system.
Well, there's
We're not even talking about culty, even though I don't agree or believe in it either. I think it's maybe I could criticize it in all sorts of wacky levels too. But I'm just saying I don't think of what you're talking about as an occult, as a cult, and what you are talking. It's weird. The most acceptable thing here, Jehovah's Witness, we all completely accept it as a part of our lives, is a cult. And what was the one thing you said? The
occult,
what was the thing you said?
Selima or chaos magic.
Okay.
Or
It's not
The
a
occult.
cult. It's occult. In other words, most people don't give a shit about your thing. Most people don't give a shit about her thing. Most people be like, "Wow, you're a Satanist. Don't hang out with me."
yeah, like it's less accepted but more liberal. So you have like liberal spiritual practice, and then you have authoritarian religion, like dogmatic religion. And what's funny about that is that you can have both within a single religious philosophy. So like, if you look at Islam, like you have both within Islam, you have both within Christianity, you have both within well, now there's even Buddhists that fucking murder people. So
Tigers.
yeah.
What?
So there's like an extreme Buddhist cult.
Oh yes, yeah.
So
Well, there have been Buddhists who've destroyed
So-
themselves for a long time too, who just like of the people who went and like burnt themselves alive in
self-immolation.
Eastern countries.
And in China today.
Yeah.
Oh, was there another one
That
today?
happens.
No, there's like
That happens
lots
all the
of
fucking
ongoing
time.
thing.
All the time. It's really fucking sad too.
The Dalai Lama has to take a total stance of neutrality on it.
Yeah. Which I get why.
Yeah.
Because, totally.
But no, I know there's also a sect of monks who
But
are for sacrificing themselves and basically everyone around them to.
that's occupied fucking Tibet. Is what
Yeah,
that is.
like as a whole.
But what I'm wondering is, with a cult. So when I think occult, when I think cult, not a cult, occult, whatever, cult. A cult of personality. I think of like this leader, which seems to have morphed to this weird corporate leadership that you're talking about with the Jehovah's Witness, where you're going out and doing things and you feel obligated to be a part of something and donate money and your time, all this stuff to organization. Whereas what you're talking about, you're talking about purely on a.
Okay, I'm gonna do a point of order. So
Yeah.
basically, the word cult, the reason why there's a stigma around it is because we, like, as an American people, are fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's really short for culture.
We don't understand the roots of our words. For instance, the word cult, basically, like in a nutshell, comes down to a system of religious beliefs. Like, that is what a cult means. That's what cult means. Now, if we're talking about the occult, Now that's totally different, of course. That you've got modern definitions that talk about the occult being, anything referring to the mystical, blah 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 blah. But that's also bullshit because the word occult shows up in medical dictionaries. The word occult simply comes from the Latin occultus, which basically means clandestine, hidden, or secret. The modern translation can also go into knowledge of the hidden. So whenever you hear somebody talking
secret
about
knowledge,
occult,
some kind of
secret knowledge, it's
people claiming some kind of group or organization or belief system that claims to have some innate
or a person who would be studying something that would relatively be unknown to the general populace.
And it's much sexier.
I feel like whenever I'm saying a cult, I'm talking about some group of people who are sort of oppressing the population of them or directing them in some if not nefarious way, at least kind of self-aggrandizing or self-enriching way. Whereas what you're talking about as part of the occult, it's not something where there's anybody who's profiting off of you saying, I think that I can go do some magical occult ceremony where I can go. If everybody left you alone, in other words, and you went off and did your ceremony out with the people you wanted to do your ceremonies, no one else would be involved or harmed. Right. Whereas she's talking about, like, you're supposed to be going out talking to people at their door, telling them, hey, come out with me to do what I'm doing so that your life can be run by this organization who apparently lives in somewhere in New Jersey or New York. Or
but also the people who make Coca-Cola, they participate in an occult practice. Because do you know how to make Coca-Cola? Do you know how to make Coca-Cola? Does anybody know how to make Coca-Cola? No, it is a hidden practice that's done by a group of people. They make Coca-Cola, which is an occult practice. I mean, if we're getting down to the brass tacks of
and they use symbolism in their marketing to convey that idea.
Coca-Cola.
And it's
they use polar bears. It's part of one of the one of the ingredients is polar bear blood. They actually send young nubile men.
Wait, is this gonna get us
into the Antarctic, and they have to slit a polar bear's
5
throat
people listen to this
to make 6 bottles of Coke.
Did you just say they slit a polar bear's throat to make 6?
No, not at all.
Anytime you hear
that is some expensive Coca-Cola.
So anytime you hear conspiracy theorists will say, like, oh, every World Bank has a sun in their logo, or you know what, like all this crazy Illuminati shit that they talk about with symbolism. Those symbols are just occult practice. Those symbols are all they are. It's not a conspiracy. It's basically what human beings respond to.
And that's what I was wondering about.
It's a psychological thing, and it's
you were talking about
practice.
This thing that was a combination
but it's not
of
stuff. Like there could be a conspiracy. I don't know, but like there's definitely a strategy to using those symbols when you're trying to make money.
It's an intimidation factor. It's a psychological effort.
I don't know if it's like a warfare thing like that. I feel like it just makes it's the stuff that makes sense. I think that what you grab onto is just like what everybody before you grabbed onto prior. You're only building off
why
of
does
like.
It work?
It's so weird.
But why does it work? What makes it work?
It's the art of war. It's
archetypes.
Right. It's finding archetypes in people and what worked before, and all you're doing is distilling it and finding what works.
Which is in itself a psychological practice. You are engaging in a psychological form of warfare at that point.
I think that's what the whole thing was in the first place. I think that why would you not derive from the center everything that you perceive?
It's like
from where you're at.
Air America. Did anybody watch Air America? Like forever ago. I'm dating myself here.
No.
Okay, so Air America, this whole fucking movie. Anyway,
movie, but you.
These dudes. It was Robert Downey Jr. and fucking what's his name? Fucking Mel Gibson. Anyway, they're like flying planes in Vietnam and shit, and that's like their thing, and they fly like this cargo ship. Well, anyway, one of their duties was in an attempt to intimidate the Vietnamese people, the Vietnamese fighters. They were going to drop these extra large, ginormous condoms like over the battlefield to convince them that American men had super huge dicks. And that this was supposed to work as a form of psychological warfare so that the Vietnamese men would then fear the American soldier.
I want to do this like you would Like you would TP someone's house. Instead, I want to just like rain down condoms so large that the person. I don't care if they're. It's not about my penis. It's about the fact that they're so large you can't use them.
You should just
couldn't even think
I
of
make
picking
swimming
one out.
pool.
Well, there's
start giving out full body condoms at birthdays and stuff. I just figured you might need some protection. You know, this is what I use, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
wouldn't work in Africa though. So,
didn't mean to interrupt your story. Go ahead.
That reminds me though of like what we're talking about, cargo cults. Where do you know about cargo cults? So there's these indigenous peoples that have been like just cut off from modern civilization. A plane lands. I don't know when, like 40s or something. A plane would land nearby and drop off cargo, whatever, take off, and ever since then, these people have worshipped planes. They'll build like these shrines to planes and all this other shit. They don't know what they are. They have no idea like what a plane is. They just know it's some angel that fucking descended, and now they base like a belief system around it because it was this crazy shit that happened.
Just like anything else that you could like distill down to some fine point where you got to really taste the notes. Just like that, it's really easy to criticize somebody for that. But like, what would you do if you saw really good stuff come from some area? Like,
oh, I'm on board. I am on board for
the
worshiping aliens. I am right there. I'm gonna be in the front row at whatever mosque they build or whatever. I'm gonna be.
I think there's a fine line between wanting to worship. I think there's a fine line between wanting to make the ground fertile and wanting to worship the ground that you think that if someone has proclaimed will be the area. Like, I think there's a fine line between we all need to get together and give whoever happens to be the owner of some corporation of some money, of some property out in New York, who owns particular rights to this thought frame of mind. I think there's a difference between that and you want to sit around, you want to like be open-minded to the idea of something coming down. And
by the way, that cargo cult thing, I don't know if that's a cult, like a cult in the
I've heard of
in the sense of like it's a tribe.
No, I've heard of.
I don't know. That's in the same sense of like I don't know if cargo cults are having people knock on the doors of other huts and hand out pamphlets with airplanes on.
I've heard this in the sense of like places in third world countries that hadn't.
Nothing for that. All right.
Oh, well,
go ahead.
In Alaska, it's just another fucking town. Like there's countless towns where they can't actually get out. So like they have bush planes fly in to actually be able to drop off shit, take people places and shit like that, and they just fucking live out in the sticks and planes.
So they fly in, they drop shit down, they knock on their door, give them a pamphlet.
Yeah, they give them you know,
they give them
plane pamphlets.
Yeah.
Coupons, pizza delivery.
Coupon.
I want to build like the first United Church of Voltron.
A coupon.
I could get on board with that.
I think that would be badass.
A coupon for 1,000 giant condoms.
Coupon. One of them coupons.
A coupon.
So, yeah.
Segue.
No. Hey man, there was all sorts of weird stuff that went on in Republic where I grew up, and all that stuff came to bear where people would. Republic was the most recent here in Missouri, most recent shooting. Man, everybody talks about like people shooting people for no reason. There's a guy who had a seizure in Republic, who got just shot by a police officer in Republic. Killed, shot. He was having a seizure.
He was just trying to help.
He was in his car, pulled over on the side of the road, having a seizure.
He was just trying to stop the guy from seizing.
Yeah.
He was using the only tool.
He felt threatened by the guy.
He was using the only tool that he had.
It's really effective to stop a seizure. I mean, it's really.
He did not seize
It's probably the most effective way to stop.
I mean, I'm sure the cop gave a warning. He's like, freeze, and the guy just kept fucking jimmying around. So
oh man, oh, that's terrible. So
That's fucking terrible.
I'm just saying. It's everywhere.
No, and I had a couple more examples of that. A buddy of mine who was a fighter, and then he I don't know. He was trying to get into like FBI or something. Like he had a pretty good, like his parents did something with the government, and he basically had this path set out for him that he wanted to achieve, to be in like the FBI or some shit. Where we go down to one of the bars, one of the breweries in St. Louis, and he's getting out of the car and puts a bottle down on the ground, and one of those bike cops tickets him with a MIP, and the lawyer for the bar took care of that in like a couple days, and he was freaking out because like that's the whole career path he had decided on. Like, you know, he just graduated from high school. He was all about like fucking being an FBI agent, and was like freaking out about this like MIP. And we knew the lawyer for the bar. His parents never found out. Like, no one ever found out he got that ticket, because the lawyer just fucking took care of it. And the lawyer was letting us into the bar underage, and that was fun too. There's another example.
We're talking about stuff you needed to edit out of the show.
Huh? No, I didn't mention any names. I didn't mention any names.
No.
Didn't name the bar.
I was trying to mark that. I was trying to get the little thing.
Yeah.
Hollywood. Take 3.
Oh no, that shit just rolls.
Yeah, I don't know what would be incriminating about that exactly.
So what bar was that?
Still exists.
Well, I'm just saying, who was the bartender and how old were you again? You know,
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
My birthday's coming up.
Actually, though, no, that lawyer
It's gonna be
died.
my birthday in 3 days.
I really don't have any issues.
How old are you gonna be?
We're not going to celebrate your birthday.
Yes, I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's Christina's birthday, everybody.
Yay!
On Friday,
So-
right?
Friday. Quiet when I say
St. Patrick's Day. He was not a very nice guy.
St. Patrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a cunt.
Dumb, Catholic shit.
You know, Catholic shit.
Yeah.
When they need to
Yeah.
get rid of a
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah.
No, I've heard
they cut off the dead
some
limb.
violent things. That's what I've heard. I could be wrong. I don't know. But am I wrong on that? What's his claim to fame?
Ridding the snakes from Ireland.
Oh yeah. Basically trying to get rid of.
So you're saying he's a renowned flautist?
No, he was a trying to get rid of the
Terrible
pagans.
person.
The pagans.
What did I do?
Pagan. That's a word that some people fear. Pagan.
I call them heathens.
It means
Those are two different things.
country.
I still call them heathens because I'm ignorant, sir.
It means country dweller.
Yes.
That's the literal definition of that.
Yes. Well, there's a current debate on whether or not the word meant country dweller or if it meant a person not in military service.
That's crazy.
But essentially it meant hick.
Yeah.
You know, hicks who live on the outskirts of town that practice their weird voodoo shit that, was not within, the borders of Roman civilized life. Practicing the old ways. before Constantine converted the empire and all that fun stuff. Just saying.
Did you ever get around? Did you ever get around to watching Penny Dreadful?
No, I actually had.
Well, they don't
sponsor the history of the world.
They don't sponsor us.
My massage therapist told me to watch that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely you need to watch that.
I was trying to remember another story where a friend of mine got away scot-free from the cops. Oh, that's what it was.
Dude, your weed's all up in my face.
The ITT. If you were in any kind of criminal justice program, a friend of mine had a criminal justice book in his car, got pulled over going like 25 over. Like,
oh my gosh.
And the cop was just like, saw the criminal justice book and was like, yeah, slow down. Didn't give him shit.
That's funny.
Are you a fan of the people who, like, when they get pulled over, the exercise your... I describe it as the exercise your rights people versus the I want to not... And I feel like the ultimate goal of really both of them is the exact same. It's I want to protect myself against something. Or there's, I guess...
I'm sorry, you were saying?
Rachel left the room to fuck my dog.
No, it was right.
Oh, Dublin. You are so hairy.
You know he was the aggressor.
I'm sorry, Dublin. So anyway.
Now we're gonna get the PETA people with like fucking all on our shit.
I don't know if he's having fun.
I'm just curious about other people. Because normally, whenever I first started out, I'd be like, I hear of the pullover protester is what I think of. It's like the person who gets pulled over is like, I'm gonna exercise my rights. Right. Some of them are good and some of them are bad, in my opinion. But like, are they all bad? Or I don't think they're all bad.
Yeah.
If they're within the statute of limitations, then I don't understand why. I mean,
I kind of think
they shouldn't.
It's the same with like a lot of shit where it depends on how petty you're gonna be, and that goes for the cop too. Like
pretty much
more so for the cop, really, on how petty you're gonna be. If it's like a normal, like if you were speeding or if you fucking, whatever, if you did something wrong, don't be a dick, maybe. Like
that's the first thing I thought, man.
And so, but if it's like, I don't know, if it's one of those like, where they're stopping everybody.
That was bullshit, the thing that
like
caveat.
As long
as you're
pulling
everybody over, you're driving down the road. Caveat. You just all of a sudden. Blah, blah, everybody who's 20 cars between you and the front of you and the back of you, we're just going to pull you over just randomly.
Right.
Like a checkpoint.
Yeah, and that, yeah.
Or
in that
you
case,
just come up on a checkpoint.
If it's a checkpoint, I mean, obviously, don't be a dick. You can not be a dick and still do that stuff. You can not be a dick and only roll your window down so far to hand your license out and be cooperative.
Do you refuse to answer the questions?
Kind of stuff. And you could refuse to answer the questions within your rights, which I believe is any question really on that kind of stop. So yeah, like that's totally fine. Like I donate to the ACLU. If you do that, that's fucking great. Like there's no problem. Just don't be a dick about it because.
You should record it though.
If you're sure
at that point,
sure. Yeah, but the thing that like everybody fucking always shoots themselves in the foot, regardless of whether any side of a conflict. If you're gonna be a dick to that cop to the point where he steps over the line, yeah, he shouldn't have stepped over the line. But how far were you going to try to get him there? And are you just perpetuating a bigger what's going to create a bigger problem and it's going to actually end up in less rights for people as opposed to, exercising your rights. So like that whole punching Nazis thing drove me fucking insane.
What was that?
Because no one put it in context.
Oh, thank you. Well, wait.
What?
Well, you're talking about punching Nazis. I would love to talk to you about punching Nazis. What's the context?
What's that dude?
Put it in context.
What was that dude's name?
I don't
Spencer.
remember that guy's name. Yeah, Spencer.
Yeah, Richard Spencer. So Richard Spencer just gets decked out of nowhere.
Doing an interview. In context.
Doing an interview. We didn't see him assault anyone. And it's not like I care that he got punched. What I care about is people thinking it was a righteous act. Or thinking that it was somehow justified just because of some shit he says that's really fucking stupid. And then if you say, well, you shouldn't have punched the guy, you should debate him because that's how these things work. You present a better argument to win over people as opposed to divide people further. Like it's just not.
Sounds like you're defending that guy.
Exactly, that's what everybody
Sounds
says.
to me like you're.
That's what everybody says.
Defending a Nazi.
Right. And that's what everyone will say. You're defending a Nazi, whatever. Not a Nazi because this isn't the 40s. Neo-Nazi, yeah, sure.
Who is this we're talking about?
Richard Spencer.
Who's that?
He's a fucking neo-Nazi.
Okay.
He's a dude that
Is he in the media a lot or something?
rants about. I don't know. Has he actually called for genocide? Has he actually
No.
promoted genocide?
What is
Because that's what people were saying. I don't know if it's true or not. Even if it's true, can't you laugh that off and be like, you're a fucking ridiculous clown?
Maybe
couldn't you just call the guy an asshat and go about your day? Like
most people have. He's a separationist. He's not a power to the state. We as in the federal government should go do some stuff. People should voluntarily segregate. He's a what people call a white nationalist in the sense that he's instigating for people to separate themselves from other people, mainly people who are white or of Western culture, and
right. So he's a piece of shit, but
he's not a real nice person.
I think you can't punch a Nazi until they start doing Nazi shit.
Exactly.
Well, here's the deal. I'm trying to tell you what he would tell you. I'm really trying to tell you what he would tell you in the nicest on his terms way. I would not like it if someone came along and punched me. I don't believe the stuff he said. So if he's going around saying the same stuff I'm saying, that guy's saying this stuff, I don't believe it. I'm just trying to tell you what he's saying. I don't want to get punched any more than that guy wants to get punched. But I want you to know what that guy's saying, because probably you knowing what that guy's saying might be the salvation of you falling down some path of believing some shit that guy's saying. So I would rather just he said it and then I don't get punched, or you don't get punched, or she doesn't get punched, or
right.
I'd rather nobody get punched. So I think it's pretty clear that it's bad.
Yeah. So to go more to my point, that is it's not so much the act itself, but what's really shooting that movement in the foot, like the Antifa or whatever, the fucking, the left, really, or just people that don't want fucking Nazis to take over. What's really shooting them in the foot is doing things like that and celebrating it. Like the celebration of preemptive violence, unprovoked violence, is what's going to be their downfall, because it's going to be used against them. So, and it's not like, I'm glad it hasn't had, that kind of violence hasn't happened again on the more liberal side, and it seems like there is some more violence happening on both sides, but it's not as publicized. But if that continues, if that keeps being a big deal, oh yeah, fuck up Nazis, punch Nazis, and it gains traction, then it's going to be these people who are punching Nazis are no longer going to be looked at as Nazi punchers, and instead are going to be looked at as a different kind of fascist. And kind of fascist will have to be eradicated.
I disagree.
And the people who will want to eradicate them
I disagree.
are going to have the power to do so.
Well, it could be that. Well, you're talking one extreme. So you're talking about everybody not accepting.
I'm just saying it's shooting yourself in the foot.
What if everybody accepts it? What if everybody accepts it?
People escalate.
What if instead of what you're saying, everybody says all those people are terrible people and tries to force them out? What if it's the exact opposite?
Then fascism wins.
What if the
Fascism.
anti?
They're
What if
always
the anti
after me
is the
lucky
winner?
charms.
Because we're thinking about the
fascist.
Trump Hillary thing, and we're thinking some positive thing versus some incredibly negative thing. What if we've gone so much to the extreme to the negative, so that it's like, well, just the more negative works. So what's Antifa?
Well, yeah.
What
then
Antifa to me is the exact mirror image of Trumpism in leftism. We'll brute force you then.
There's going to be
instead.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's going to be...
They next leveled. The Trump stuff. So...
Well, what I'm saying is there's going to be more authoritarianism on both sides. The more the conflict gets escalated. The more escalation of conflict and the more encouragement of the escalation of conflict, the more authoritarianism is going to reign on both sides. And whoever wins is going to be bad for everybody.
So it'd be better.
That's my point.
If people just talked about their issues.
If people just fucking talked about it. If people were more dismissive of fucking idiots that say things like we need to self-segregate and just didn't listen to them. Because what are you doing when you are, and it's that thing with the internet and the media cycle has trained everyone to take controversy and blow it up and then fucking just feed on it like fucking leeches. We just feed on all this like controversy
Cat
and all
videos.
This and cat videos
and also
I think cat videos
there's some wood chips they throw in there and then
you gotta give that credit.
We're smoking Marlboros.
Apparently
it's the Betty White of internet.
Richard Spencer was also giving an interview about being punched when he got punched again.
Yes. He got punched twice.
Wait, say that again.
This is where... Say it again. Yeah, you should say it again. One more time.
Richard Spencer, while being interviewed about being punched, got punched again.
We have to see. I have problems with any basis in reason and logic that says while someone is talking about their things for their things they're talking about, you purely should be punching them. And I know that sounds.
Well, the other thing is, the second you lay your hand on somebody else, you're actually taking the position of the state, because only the state has the authority to use violence.
I love the state analogy. I love using state for everything because it really does show you something. But you're talking about when you're saying state, though, you're saying
you are violating the First Amendment. The second you punch somebody,
when you say state, you're talking about like using some kind of like force on somebody, though, really, is what you're saying.
Right. I mean, you're playing the role of the government. You're playing the role of the state because...
In other words, you don't do this, some repercussions.
You're taking authority that you don't deserve, and you're basically silencing speech as a self-proclaimed authority, and therefore you're violating the First Amendment directly.
You're making someone do something, in other words.
Which is funny because they make this argument that, if they get their way, then they're going to tear up the fucking First Amendment and, we're all going to be silenced, whatever. How is that productive? Like, how is that, like if you're going to rest on a philosophy if you're going to protect a philosophy, be confident in it. Like, why wouldn't you be confident in your philosophy if you're trying to protect that exact philosophy?
Unless you don't give a crap about its success.
Yeah, I mean, because it's all reactionary, right? Like, especially with the media cycle and fucking social media.
Things that people talk about
everything
cultural.
Is reactionary.
We're not talking about like cultural. I mean,
there is a
it's instinctual for me to
it.
defend whatever the hell I just said, and I mean, it's hard for me to like make myself go like, ooh, it's whatever I just said may not have been exactly right, even as to what I say, and then even then I try and rationalize. Well, but what I meant was that what I meant was that which that I know now that I tried to say earlier but figured out. Like everybody's trying to make sense of everything, but everybody's also trying to make themselves feel really good. I kind of feel like most things are like trying to make everybody feel really good about the certain things that they feel about things.
About their tribe.
You think about like tribalism, the things that you identify with, tribalism, yeah.
So I just.
So how do you try and break your own tribalism? How do you? Like I try and think of questions to my own. Self-prescribed hypotheses, but like, what do you do? Like when you hear something, you're like, yeah. You don't immediately go, well, what's the question
okay. So
to that?
what it sounds like you're talking about is like confirmation bias.
Yeah. How do you avoid that? How do you avoid confirmation bias? How do you try and think of the opposite?
You can't avoid it entirely. Like there's no way to avoid it entirely. You're always going to have like some.
Of course.
Some deep.
I am hoping you'll tell me I do the things that are the right things to do. Like I got it. See?
But that's the thing. Like listening to opposing opinions. Like what was I listening to? Some Fox News fucker, and I listened to the whole podcast, and I don't like the guy. I can't remember his name. Don't like the guy at all. But it gave me insight into the nature of those claims and the kind of positive aspects of the ideology. So like if you say like somebody's maybe has a traditional family, they want to protect the family, so they don't like gays. And they're totally
gay.
Yeah, we can't have them dicks and asses.
All them men in the arts are homosexual.
Right. So
my grandma always told me.
So there's this like core thing of like loyalty and tradition, and there's these like beliefs that can be very positive. And that's kind of where the person is coming from to some degree. And then it just kind of gets distorted, mostly by manipulation, politics, whatever. But it turns out as, my family is threatened. Well, if your family is threatened, that's something you should defend. I mean, that's like, you're linking two things together that don't make any fucking sense. But I can at least empathize that you want to protect your family. So you kind of go from there, and then you can kind of break down your own arguments better, because then you're like, you can kind of reconfirm, oh yeah, these people are fucking stupid. Or
you're thinking of this stuff from. It's not that you shouldn't. You should. I think maybe even be giving more credit to the people involved as the way they're like reasoning and. Like deducing what their move should be. I mean, you're talking about people who, in the same way as you have, just some control of a body like yours in time that they have just as much control over, and everybody.
Oh right. Well,
I know. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they were right. I'm not saying that the people before you didn't come up with proper conclusions about stuff and
nature and nurture. There's genetics. There's fucking
stuff. I'm just talking about like trying to figure out what the hell's going on around you, and you're talking about like people. Go ahead.
I don't know what you're asking me at all.
I'm not asking you anything. I'm just saying that your work. You're working off a concept that like everybody's before you was doing something degradatory, and I'm just saying something degrading. And I'm saying that maybe everything, all those people that you're talking about, like actually narrowed something down that you're doing right now that's like perfect. And maybe what you're doing right now in your life might be so much more in some weird way more perfect integral life of the being that you are in the system that you are based on the creation of everything that you were have.
Let me ask you one thing. Let me ask you one thing.
Out there. I'm just saying.
Let me ask you one thing. How high are you right now?
Barely, not barely.
No, but
it's really hard. It's really hard. We talk about.
Oh, Jerry, that you have to take the love and laughter in that one.
We take it like people who are 30 years or 40 years ago of us. Our parents are like they were Neanderthals or something. Like we're sitting around at 30 years old. Like recording some hi-fi. I'm looking at the volume levels of my particular input on this little input. This Zoom thing is amazing.
It's called a GUI.
The gain. It's a line out if you wanted to. It has its own mic on it, dude.
Yes, it does.
I didn't even think about that. That is technically a GUI.
Technically, that is a GUI.
Yeah. So there's generational gaps that makes it hard to empathize. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, no, and what I'm saying is that really, like if people would take their last 30 years, and I think that people dismiss the last 30 years of human history as being really sexist or racist,
there actually has been a lot of
over the last 30 or 40 years, and I think people should. It's stupid to just dismiss a bunch of stuff that we're missing about how, and that includes all the things that you could appreciate about anything that was something that appreciated the diversity in people. It has nothing to do with sex.
Yeah, the fact of that guy that is the fact of a guy that is saying those kind of things doesn't actually get away with hanging people in a town square. Well, shit like that. Like, we've made progress, for sure. We've definitely made fucking progress.
On that front. I found.
And, and then, like, But people still... I still, though, I hold people to a higher standard, especially with the access to information that we have, that there should be more empathy.
I think it should.
There should be more empathy. There should be more just... That's really...
I think you should hold people to a higher standard. Whether or not you think there should be empathy or not, you should hold people to a very high minimal standard of what are you talking about.
Well, we have freedom of speech. We don't have freedom from assholes.
Right.
Like, there's no written law that says you can't be an asshole. So you can.
You have the right to be offensive as
Right.
much as you have the right to be offended.
So,
might be a little low on gin.
where did Rachel go? Did she fuck my dog?
She may have been in the room with the dogs.
Rachel, he likes anal.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to another wonderful episode of Contextually Yours.
Oh, have a nice night. Whatever time it is when you're listening.
Good night, everybody.
Sweet dreams.
Contextually Yours.